Hello snowboarders of the internet, I am your host TC and this is Top 5s. The only top 5 show in snowboarding that you come to see which board is going to send you to the moon. On today's Top 5s, we have the top 5 best jump boards for 24-25 season. Number 5, the Salomon Huck Knife Pro. This board is everywhere on the jump scene. You pretty much turn on X Games, Do Tour, or Rockstar Tour now, whatever they want to call it, you're gonna see this board on there. This thing is definitely tried, trusted, and true, where you have a mostly camber board with a slight bit of rocker on the nose and the tail. That's just gonna help when you're pretty much trying to start your spins. It's going to release on that tail, so it's not going to be super aggressive there. But what that it's going to do is you pretty much have that full camber underneath your feet. So when you're loading this thing up to pop, it's going to return all of that energy. It's going to give you all that power, precision, and drive you're looking for, especially when you're trying to haul into those bigger jumps at high speeds. This thing is also going to have all that landing gear that you need. So you land a little bit tail heavy, a little bit on the nose, it should have enough to bring you right back down. Now when you want to take this thing all mountain, you definitely can. Just know that you should probably be looking for every side hit out there, just because this board really excels in the air. Number 4, the Jones Tweaker Pro. This thing is burly, it is aggressive, but it is everything you need when you need to go to that big jump line or even get in the half pipe. This board is going to be super stiff, so when you do load it up, make sure you have a little bit more time to actually engage that, because it is full camber from contact point to contact point. This thing has a lot of camber to it. That being said, it has all that energy that you put into it though. So when you do load it up, it returns that tenfold. It's also going to give you great landing gear. So if you do land a little wonky or anything like that, it's going to bring you back straight. You can set that edge on the landing and really trust that you're going to carry your speed into the next jump, and really pop this thing as much as your heart desires, because it's just going to hold up for you. It's not going to fold or anything like that. It just wants to go as big as possible and as fast as possible. Number 3, the Libtech Rad Ripper. This board is everything that you remember from those classic 90s Mervin boards, where it has that full camber profile. And when I say full camber, I mean it. I don't mean that C3 stuff. It's full camber. And it's going to have that same side cut on it, where no magnet traction, none of that, just that classic old school camber with new materials in it. So this board's going to be nice and light. It's going to be super snappy and responsive, but it's not going to be super cumbersome or burly, where it just feels nice and light, like a new age board with that classic precision to it, where you load this thing up, it returns that. It's got great landing gear to it, where because it is full camber, you can land on that tail and it's going to bring you back. It doesn't take a whole bunch of energy to load it up, because it's not going to be the stiffest thing out there, but it's going to let you know that when you do load it up, it's got that good snap to it that you're looking for. When you do go to spin this board, it is super effortless. Just set that edge, rotate those shoulders, and the board's going to do all the work for you. Since I have you here, you might as well like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our scheduled programming. Number 2, the Capita Super DOA. This is going to be the softest board on the list, probably going to be the lightest on the list as well, and that's just because of that 3D core milling on the top sheet. It just cuts down on weight, also makes it a little bit softer on the nose and the tail. That being said, in between your feet, this board is nice and rigid. That's where all that energy is coming from. When you load this thing up, it's coming from right in between your feet. That being said, even if you do get on the tail a little bit or the nose a little bit, you can still ride it out. You might have to wheelie a little bit more, but when you land bolts on this thing, it really excels. It's super easy to load up when you're getting to that lip of the jump. You don't really have to do much to actually pop this board, just because of how soft that nose and tail are, but it feels really stable when taking off, going into the air, and on the landing. Even though that nose and tail are a little bit softer, you don't feel them chatter or anything like that. It dampens all of those vibrations really well. So when you're going into that bulletproof jump at 7 or 8 in the morning, you're not going to feel it quite that much. It does cut down on all that chatter, and when you land, it doesn't feel like you're just landing on flat. It's got a little bit of landing gear as well. Honorable mentions. Remember, these are all great viable options for a jump board. They just weren't able to crack our top 5. And trust me when I say this, this was one of the hardest lists we had to make because these are all awesome boards. The first board is the Nidecker Sensor Team. This board is awesome, where super stable on its takeoff, nice and damp where you're not feeling anything under your foot, even if there is chunder or anything like that. You're not gonna feel it, just all around super stable. The next board is going to be the Rome Rene-Gade. This board's awesome. Every turn feels like a setup turn for a jump, so you might as well have them on the jumps in that case, just because this thing holds speed through turns. So even if you're approaching the biggest jump line there is and your ability level is up for it, this board's gonna hold up with no problems. You got those pop rods in the tail, so when you do load it up, they provide a really nice snap to it, and it's just got great landing gear. Don't be fooled by the directional twin in the board. It rides like a full twin. It absolutely rips. And the final honorable mention board is the K2 Hypnotist. This board is awesome. It's almost a full camber board, slight rocker on the nose and the tail, but you really don't feel it just because of how stable this thing is, especially at speeds approaching a jump. But you do feel the slight cap construction on the nose and the tail where it just bevels in, making this board turn really well and super engaged when you are on edge. Remember, these are all great options. They just weren't able to crack our top 5. As much as we argued about it, they just were unable to, but you know, they're still great snowboards. If you're looking for another way to get involved in the Angry Snowboarder community, head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. Sure, I could explain it here, but we have a great video over there getting into it really in depth. And the number 1 jump board for the 2025 season is the Nitro Beast. And this board is everything that the name is. It is a beast. This thing is full camber from nose to tail, and it's a lot of camber. That is super aggressive. This board wants to go fast and it wants to go really big. So as long as you are a very aggressive rider and you know all of your shit, this is going to be the board for you. This thing will go as big as you want to take it. When you load this thing up, it's going to return that tenfold for sure, where it launches you to the moon. And I want you to really think about that because it goes huge. Super stable on landings, and it just wants to go really fast. So take everything with speed. Make sure you're not overshooting jumps, because that is a possibility on this board without even trying. As long as you pop this thing and you have a little bit of speed to it, you're gonna make that landing. So keep that in mind. This thing just wants to be in the air and it wants to go huge. As always, guys, I've been your host TC, and this has been our top 5 best jump boards for the 2025 season. If you're looking for something a little bit more well-rounded, don't need to go to the moon per se, why don't you go check out one of the top 5 reviews for all-around park boards.